So, Joey, the last time I heard you was on the Jeremy Vine show in an interview. It got very heated.
It did. It did.
Too heated for you?
Well, I think the passion was justified. I mean, Jeremy, a nice gentleman, but I don't think he's spent as many hours as I have out the front of the gas chambers where they lower pigs into carbon dioxide gas and they thrash in their very last moments. So I can understand why he could say something so insensitive or leave a piece of a dead pig on his table to wave in my face.
So he had a ham sandwich.
He did, and he made a point of pointing that out to me. But that's fine. I mean, people are going to ridicule something they don't understand, and if he'd seen what I'd seen, he would not be so insensitive about it. But again, it's justified passion. It wasn't anger.
Yeah.
If people had seen from the other side, so.
And Johnny and Dulcie, let's speak to you because you're at Fen Farm in Colchester. You farm milk butter.
Sorry, it's Bungay in Suffolk.
Sorry, OK, correction. Milk, butter, cheese, 3 generations of family.
3 generations of murderers and rapists. But today we're going to tone down the language, guys, for the purposes of television and portray UK dairy farmers as lovely people for what they do.
But you find that the campaigning over the last few months has got definitely much more intense, you've noticed.
Well, there's certainly more of us now. I mean, 165,000 people signed up for January this year. So there's bound to be some intense people in that demographic of people, the vegans. But yes, the red herring you're about to throw out was what?
Well, for us personally, not really. We've gone about getting on with farming and doing what we do.
You know, we've still got to get on with artificially inseminating a cow. We have to get on with fisting a cow in the arse. That's our job. We have to get on with raping... Oh, wait, whoops. No, we can't say that word. That's too offensive.
Vegans always think they know best, but they don't. Do vegans get up 4 o'clock in the morning to milk the cows?
We wouldn't.
Do vegans up with the cows when they're bad? Because we ring the vets up straight away.
It just kind of... Everything changed about a week ago when we just put a nice post out on Facebook.
What was the post?
We had triplets for the first time ever in our farm.
Of course, ITV won't show the full process of how these triplets came to be, and they won't show what happens afterwards either. They'll show you an Instagrammable picture that can be used to show the public how idyllic UK dairy farming industry should be portrayed as, to make you keep buying milk.
Calf triplets.
Calf triplets.
Yeah.
Very rare occurrence
Not Dulcie.
with a cow.
The first day, lots of nice comments, and it's just a fun little story.
Yeah, it's just one part of a more sinister molestation and murdering story.
And before we knew it, it just over the next 24, 48 hours, it just erupted into this thousands upon thousands of views and vegan comments of really, really horrible.
And of course, we, the farmers, we are the biggest victims of the animal holocaust.
And also quite threatening towards you and your own family.
It just got worse and worse.
Oh, the nasty vegans. Oh, did the nasty vegans hurt your feelings?
Words like murderers, rapists.
We are the biggest victims of the animal holocaust.
All of these kind of things started coming onto our feed.
Well, you have used those words, that farmers can be compared to rapists and
Okay,
murderers.
so I want to just publicly say that I condemn any death threats and any name-calling. That's not the way I advocate. But I think we need perspective in this situation.
Very, very charitable to the vegan perspective, Phil. 4 on 1 and introducing the vegan into the conversation by poisoning the well. Well, you're one of those vegans that type words on the internet, so you're a bad person.
But I think we need perspective in this situation.
Yes, let's finally see it from the cow's perspective.
Now, the dairy industry are responsible for separating families. When these calves are born, they are taken away from their mother, OK? That milk will be given to human beings, OK? Now, those calves, if they're born a boy, they'll be bolt gunned in the head, sometimes on their first day of life, OK? And the female calves will suffer the same fate as their mother, which is forcible impregnation. They're not getting pregnant naturally, forcefully. A fist into the cow's anus, OK? They harvest the semen from a bull, and we all know how they do that, and then they inject that semen into the cow.
No, so you don't need consent from an animal who can't fight back.
OK, and then when she's pregnant, they take her calf away from her. And this is why they call it, vegans might call it kidnap.
Kidnap, otherwise known as abduction, otherwise known as snatching, otherwise known as detaining for disposal.
And when she can't produce milk anymore, she's murdered for her body, OK? A mother.
Q, it's not rape though.
And so the rape is the insemination?
Calling a violation insemination says nothing about whether there's a victim involved.
Well, it's forcible impregnation, isn't it? If it was anyone, it's the victim. If it was a human being, we'd call it what? What would we call it?
Q, but they're not humans though.
But it's not a human being, it's a cow.
Stating humans though says nothing about whether the subject of the violation was a victim.
It's forcible, it's sexual abuse.
So just want to check, and just being absolutely sure, there is no difference in the laws of nature for you than there would be between human and animal form.
Well, both human animals and non-human animals both have vaginas, and they both have brains which capacitate for a subjective experience. So I think both deserve the right to non-molestation, really, when you think about it. An easy way to look at it will be to imagine yourself as the cow. Imagine yourself as the victim. Now, you might object to thinking like a cow because of anthropomorphism, though, where the subject has human characteristics bestowed upon them by humans. But you'd be objecting to giving those animals who experience the fist up the anus the right not to be violated. You can't say that it's not a violation. It's certainly far away from a source of well-being for the cow. It certainly looks like more of a breach of trust to me rather than just some random insemination. The word insemination just makes it seem more like a routine, something that the cow has voluntarily chosen to partake in.
If we're sexually violating a sentient being, just like us, they experience consciousness just like us, we're sexually violating them against their will, that is immoral. They cannot give consent for this.
So how do you answer that then, as farmers?
How do you answer that as the voice of an unbiased farmer?
I find that really offensive. Sorry, Dos. The word rapist, to use that word for inseminating a cow, I feel is wrong.
So you think that being called a rapist is immoral, but the act of sticking your hand inside of a cow without their consent isn't immoral?
I think it's important to talk about the terminology here because
we are the biggest victims of the animal holocaust.
There are three words that are consistent in a lot of these comments from vegan activists. Rape, murder and slavery.
Exposing an industry has inadvertently caused inconvenience to forcibly impregnating cows to produce the white stuff. If that same white stuff could be produced in a totally artificial way, i.e. in a lab, without any need for forcible cow impregnations, without the need for killing baby calves, without the need for serial child abduction, without the need for serial murder of spent dairy cows and bobby calves, I bet you would prefer to have a world where you could drink that same product without any of those other processes having to happen. Because in that way it seems more ethical not to involve a victim in that process, to enjoy the same product.
Tell me exactly what is so ethical about painful mutilations being done on babies to dehorn them. What is the moral reason for child abduction or keeping male calves in solitary confinement when they should be nursing from their mothers? Tell me how ethical it is to send those babies off to an auction to be sold off as veal or shot in the head at a day old. Tell me how justified it is ethically to take your beloved baby-making machines off to the slaughterhouse after they can't pump out the white stuff anymore. There is no moral or ethical reasons for doing this, and it is painfully obvious how cruel and unnecessary this is, just for a splash of milk in your cup of tea.
And there's really no need to drink this stuff. You can get calcium from plants, and it is not ethical to do this to animals.
Okay.
What happens to your cows?
Would you mind if I finish?
What happens to your cows when they cannot produce milk anymore? For you.
Can we
Would you
just
mind if I
answer?
finish this sentence? I'm very, very happy to address...
We will come on to that one.
Shh! The biggest victim of the animal holocaust is talking!
Very happy to address all aspects of this, but would you mind me finishing the sentence? These three words, rape, murder and slavery, are consistent.
So rape, murder and enslavement are pretty accurate descriptions of what's actually going on here.
Now, these are words that, first of all, are fairly inaccurate when applied to our farming practices.
One of those practices is fisting a cow against their will. And you wouldn't think it's ethical to rape a person of the same level of sentience as a cow was ethical. So what is it about the cow that makes this type of treatment ethical for the cow, but not ethical for a human being? You can diminish the value of cows to a group, a collective of baby-making machines, or you can just assume that they probably don't want to be violated.
Rape is an act of sexual predation.
So this must be totally fine then?
Murder is an act of one human being purposefully killing another human being.
It's okay to kill animals needlessly because dictionary though.
Slavery is the enslavement of one human being by another human being. Okay.
I'm protecting words so that I can dodge the central argument for veganism.
Now, I think that the use of these words, whilst...
So you're playing word games. Let's talk
No,
about
we're
the
not.
act.
We're not.
Let's talk about the act. You're taking an animal's life against their will.
What is happening?
What is that? Is that moral, to take an animal's life against their will? Call it murder. Call it taking an animal's life against their will. Okay? How is that moral? It's not humane to take an animal's life.
Can I just talk about the terminology?
Let's talk about the act.
Can I just say animals kill animals, though?
What are the moral or ethical reasons for doing this?
That's what I was then going on to, Holly.
Animals rape each other in the wild too. We cannot point to nature and say that that's moral, okay? We're a civilised society. To take someone's life against their will is savagery.
Actually, I think...
Would you agree? Do you think it's humane?
It's not my point. I'm just...
I think when you have to look at nature.
Nature is not a good metric for morality, because if it were, rape would be moral. If you want to live naturally, then why not live without medicine? And then tell me how great it is that you are relying on nature to pull you through a terminal illness that can be easily corrected with medicine. Because you have to reject medicine to be congruent with your belief system that nature is the moral reason for doing this, rather than the well-being of the victim involved being the moral reason not to do this.
You have to look at the human being.
Look, my advice, I would ask yourself, does human taste preference equal morality?
You have to look at the last 200,000 years.
Ancestors, though. Yeah, ancestors, though. Therefore, we should stop using nutrition science because it's too updated and it's too accurate.
And how we've evolved and what we've become.
OK, well, we have evolved to be able to survive on plants as well, as evidenced by all the vegans living in the world today. We've evolved to become smarter as well, smart enough to know that we don't have to kill animals for food and that there's no humane way to kill an animal that does not want to die.
We have billions of people in this world and everyone has to be fed. We, as human beings, eat meat and vegetables, like many other species, of which all of those animals very often actually eat another animal in a far worse way than actually we
don't need to for our health. We don't need to.
So how do you conveniently forget that there's a victim involved in the process of producing your milk, your cheese, your eggs, your meat, your fish? Is it by repeatedly saying the same thing over and over and over again to make yourself feel better about it? We've evolved to. There is no evolutionary adaptation that necessitates the need to do this for our health. There might be something, actually, there might be something that would negate everything I've just said about morality, the morality surrounding killing animals and the ethics around it. There might be something, just one thing, that could debunk the whole vegan argument.
We've grown canine teeth.
Where?
Canine
Show me
teeth.
yours.
Well,
they look very flat and blunt, like a cow's
that's
teeth.
the molars at the back, but the canines were developed to chew meat.
Less time spent discussing things like teeth and more time discussing things like ethics would be a really good way to conduct a conversation about the subject of ethics.
It's unnecessary to eat meat to be healthy.
No, but I developed teeth to do that. So why have I developed teeth to do that?
You still have the choice to choose the ethical option, and yet you still choose not to because of your teeth. You still contribute to an animal holocaust because of your teeth. Because no word could be more accurate in describing the reality of what's really going on here.
Because you can eat an animal doesn't make it moral to do so, OK? We can be healthier eating plant-based foods.
And a whole foods plant-based diet has been shown to reverse heart disease, and the American Dietetic Association, the British Dietetic Association as well, have all said that a well-planned vegan diet is suitable for all stages of life, including pregnancy.
This day and age, don't look 100,000 years ago when we had to do it to survive. This day and age, it's unnecessary to put innocent beings inside of a gas chamber or into a slaughterhouse.
So if you're not doing it for your own survival or your health in 2018, why are you still doing it?
What about those long-standing farming communities, the communities that have been built up around farming?
Farming communities, though.
All the people involved in farming.
When we're looking at issues of injustice...
How local communities make money says nothing about whether that money is made ethically. And if jobs were the prerequisite to determining what is ethical, then we should bring back asbestos to give asbestos workers their jobs back. Because their jobs matter more than the health consequences of asbestos. It's like people actually want to go back in time. They want to go back and live with the ancestors because they believe that society is so much worse today than it was thousands of years ago.
Always look at it through the eyes of the victim, not the oppressor, OK? Animals are having their throats slashed open for an unnecessary reason, OK? Farmers are sending them on trucks to slaughterhouses. We don't need them to survive or to be healthy. We can eat plants.
So I hope you enjoyed my video, and thanks for watching. A massive shout out goes to Joey for all of his hard work that he's been doing recently on behalf of the animals. Joey kept on track with the central argument for veganism and didn't get derailed by the distractions that Phil and Holly were throwing out. He spoke coherently and purposefully in a way that spoke to people's better nature directly. So well done, mate. Really proud of you there. And if you're a farmer or somebody who's considering veganism, then check out my street epistemology videos like this one, where I question random people on the street about how ethics should be applied to animals because they have the capacity to experience suffering and well-being just like us. And if you're a subscriber, don't forget that you can support my channel by donating to my Patreon so that I can have more time and flexibility to produce more videos like this one, as well as the street interviews that you all love to see from me. I'm adding a new perk on Patreon, so $10 gets you a raffle ticket to pick a video idea to be produced by myself once a month. So each month you have the opportunity to send me a video idea. Now that could be a concept, line of reasoning or dialogue for a street interview, or it could be something that you'd like me to respond to, i.e. some anti-vegan propaganda or fake news, or it could be something you'd like me to cook or a review of some food you'd like me to taste. It's up to you. I'll put your ticket into a hat or some kind of random number generator, and I'll pick out one once a month to bring to full fruition for your viewing pleasure. I'm legitimately excited about this and can't wait to see what ideas you guys come up with. And you can also just let me know whether you want your name to be mentioned on the video as well. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks very much for watching. See you in the next video.
Do vegans get up 4 o'clock in the morning to milk the cows?
But the canines were developed to